It's been conflict of information ever since news of the lifting of the UAE ban on Nigeria surfaced. Many questions have been in the air since the United Arab Emirates government denied knowledge of requirements for Nigerians to have a $10,000 bank balance minimum and payment of 640,000 naira for a document verification number to come into the UAE. Now, this contradicts the information that was released to Nigerians by its Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris. According to the cable newspaper, the UAE's Department of Economy and Tourism disclaimed affiliation with the Document Verification Hub, the DV Hub website, which listed the controversial requirements.
Now, UAE Dubai's General Directorate of Residency and Foreign Affairs also denies approving $10,000 bank balance and 640,000 naira fee as visa application requirements for Nigerians. Many Nigerians have asked questions since this revelation came to light yesterday. The federal government is yet to address the subject.
Joining us to discuss this is journalist David Hundeyin. Good morning, David. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. Now, I think we'll go back to the beginning as to how we got here. The Minister of Information did share reports about the fact that the UAE visa ban had been lifted, shared a website on X, and it was from visiting the website that Nigerians were able to confirm that then that there was a 640,000 naira fee for the document verification website. Talk to us about how we've gotten from that place to now finding out that those websites do not belong to the UAE.
Well, so someone on Twitter, I remember, made a comment to the effect of, "I'm sure this money, this 640,000 naira, isn't actually going to the UAE government. That he's sure that it's actually the Nigerian government or people linked to the Nigerian government that have created some sort of arbitrage opportunity there." And to be honest, that reflexively, that checked out, because that's like a regular business model within the Nigerian system. So the first thing I did was to go check the registration of the websites on who actually owns the website. Because the first thing I noted was all official UAE government websites end with the domain .gov.ae. This website ended with the domain .ae, which is a freely accessible domain. It's not a UAE government domain. But again, the people behind it obviously don't expect Nigerians to be able to tell that there's a difference. So there was a deliberate attempt to misrepresent this website as a UAE or government official website, which it categorically was not. It was .ae. So I went to find out who is behind this thing. And one of the very first results that came up was from a platform called Scam Advisor, which basically looks out for such websites and advises visitors as to the reliability of this website. And it said very clearly that the actual beneficial owner of this website is hiding their identity using a paid service. So usually how that works is there's a middleman or an entity that specializes in operating or registering websites on behalf of clients. So the client's identity isn't displayed on the WHOIS record. It's the middleman's identity. And this middleman turned out to be this Canadian fellow called Jean Goffrey. I mean, I did some little research on this fellow. It turned out that this fellow works for a Spanish IT company that specializes in creating sustainable revenues for African governments. So essentially, if you're familiar with the business model of Alpha Beta Consulting in Lagos, this is basically the Spanish version of Alpha Beta, but it only seems to do any business in Africa. So just off of that alone, already you could tell very clearly what was going on here. Someone has deliberately misrepresented a private website with a .ae domain as a UAE government website, and then the Minister of Information has gone and tweeted it as though it's something that came from the UAE authorities, which it categorically did not. And then you've been able to establish that the person, whoever is actually behind this website, is actually hiding their identity. And they're using this Canadian middleman working for this Spanish IT company that specializes in inserting itself into arbitrage opportunities in African public sector spaces. And my hypothesis was that there's a private entity that has positioned itself to make money from an inefficiency in the Nigerian public sector. This is a very common way of making money, illicit money in the Nigerian public space, where hypothetically speaking, there's a road and the road is freely accessible. So what you then do is you go put up a gate in the middle of the road and start charging people to pass through it. So you've created an income opportunity for yourself without creating any value for people. That's a very regular way of becoming rich in the Nigerian public
Yeah.
sector.
Is it
And my
possible?
hypothesis was,
Yeah,
sorry?
I just wanted to ask: is it possible that Mohammed Idris, was not aware, or are you maybe alluding to the fact that he also was aware that this might have been a fraudulent website, and the whole idea of charging Nigerians 640,000 naira per person, he's very much aware. Is there that possibility?
Well, he honestly cannot say that he's not aware. First of all, it's his job to be aware. He's the Minister of Information. Secondly, he put it out in official communication. So the idea of him not being aware doesn't come into it at all. As a cabinet minister whose job it is to provide definitive information to the public, any statement or any information put out in an official capacity, because this went out not just on his own Twitter handle, it also went out on the Ministry of Information's public channels as well. So any sort of information like that that is put out officially, you have to assume that he's aware or the ministry is aware. So him not being aware doesn't come into it at all. And just to complete what I was saying earlier, it then came out yesterday when the cable, the online newspaper, then did its own separate verification and reached out to the UAE authorities, who then stated very clearly that they do not know anything about this website. This website has nothing to do with them. So it's clear to see what has happened here. Apparently, the UAE has actually lifted the visa ban against Nigeria and has probably given the Nigerian government some sort of indication that there needs to be some form of verification of people's identities before they go on to apply for UAE visas. I don't know whether that happened for a fact. That's just a guess that I'm making. And then someone within the Nigerian establishment got a brainwave that their way to make money out of this again was to put up a gate in the middle of a road where people are passing freely. So document verification, which is not a thing that anyone should need to pay for, because you are the Nigerian government screening people who are presenting Nigerian government issued ID. What are you charging them for? And then you're not just charging them. This is not 5,000 naira I'm talking about. This is 640,000 naira. And apparently it's valid for only 14 days at a time, meaning that anyone who travels to Dubai or Abu Dhabi multiple times a year is going to part with millions of naira just to be able to travel. And that money is not going to the UAE authorities. That money is going to an undisclosed private actor within the Nigerian pseudo public space.
I mean, you just gave a core example that someone is putting a gate on a free road. And if this is confirmed, I'm hoping that the government addresses this today. If this is confirmed to be true, it's no different from those thugs who, stop people on the road to collect extra money for them to actually pass when they should actually be able to pass. David, what picture are we painting? We've had a back and forth with the UAE in the past couple of years. What message are we sending about Nigeria to the UAE and to the rest of the world?
Well, the message, unfortunately, that we're sending is that Nigeria is a country that is ruled by those kinds of area boys that you described, the people who stop you on the road and collect money from you for no reason whatsoever. Otherwise, they don't let you pass. That's the perception that is being given to the world now, that in addition to the many negative stereotypes that afflict Nigerians as a people, that even the Nigerian government itself is essentially a criminal entity and will stop at nothing to enact this criminality, including against its own people. Because where you have a UAE government responding to an inquiry from a media outlet and saying that we don't know anything about this, they're actively distancing themselves from this. That in itself is a very powerful statement. That in itself says something, because typically what would happen in a diplomatic setting like that is, so as to avoid creating controversy or creating embarrassment for the counterparty, the UAE embassy would probably say something to the effect of, we'll go seek for clarification or something. They wouldn't put out a definitive statement saying this didn't emanate from us, but that's exactly what they did. So that in itself, if you're familiar with how diplomacy works, that in itself is a statement of exasperation. That shows that
Yeah.
they are tired of these Nigerians. That these guys, we have, as you said, we've gone back and forth with them for I don't know how long now. It's happened twice already that the Nigerian government has come out and told lies that, oh, the UAE visa ban has been lifted. The first time it was CNN that did a fact check, very embarrassing, and said, no, this didn't happen. Then it happened again. And then this has happened again, and then the UAE authorities themselves are saying, whatever is happening between you people and your government, it's between you and your government. We don't have any hand in this. Please don't disturb us, because that was essentially what that statement said.
Yeah.
So I think that really says it.
I think it's just very, very, very embarrassing. I don't think there's any other way to describe it, and I'm hoping that there's a response by the Nigerian government to what we are currently, discussing. Olive?
Let's also, look at what other Nigerians are saying about it. It's been many conversations happening on X. Let's take a few tweets. Nefertiti's Crush, interesting handle. It says, if not for David Hundeyin, imagine the amount of people that would have rushed to pay that 640K. Federal government don't turn Yahoo boys. APC must be stopped. We must protest for good governance. Enough is enough. Let's move away from this and see a few other tweets regarding this conversation. Benassi, I bet you people would have overlooked the scam if it was below 100,000. Do you know how much you have to hate your citizens to want to scam them of 640,000 naira in these terrible times? And the next one is from Fortune. By the time Bola and his crooks, you know what? Let's just we've run out of time for these tweets. We can't, take a number of them. But the question would be that, how do we proceed from here, David? What explanations or what next steps do we expect? Are we expecting feedback? Are we expecting the government to address this? Do we know if some people have even already paid the 640,000 naira? And if they have, are we expecting a refund? Or should they expect a refund?
So what I expect will happen is what typically tends to happen when the government is caught with its pants down. And I know this because this happened. In fact, I sat down on this very TV station almost exactly a year ago to the day, discussing a very similar scandal in a different space, the Nigeria Air scandal, where again, somebody magicked something out of thin air and created a huge international embarrassment for the country. And the government's response to that was to cover their eyes and cover their ears and cover their mouths. Nobody said anything. It wasn't until the new Minister of Aviation, Festus Keyamo, came in, and then there was some movement, and then eventually they admitted it, which was months later. But in the immediate aftermath of being exposed, they will do what the Nigerian government always does, which is pretend that nothing happened and just ignore it. I hope that people move on to the next thing, because again, the calculation is that Nigerians have the attention span of goldfish. So that's exactly what they're hoping will happen. I don't know whether anyone actually paid that 640,000 naira. I hope they didn't, because if they did, well, best of luck to them. I don't think they're going to be seeing that money again, but we'll see.
All right. We hope that there's a response from the Nigerian government. David Hundeyin, thanks a lot for your time, as always. Thanks for stopping by. We'll speak with you again soon.